The eyes of the woman's surprise. The man's body spun around 2.5 times and threw the iron block in his hand with all his strength. In an instant, the bulletproof glass on the 33rd floor of the building shattered. Then he quickly stepped forward, looked at the smoke filled with poisonous gas under the building, and then turned his head to carefully observe the layout of the surrounding area. But the woman behind him seemed to recognize the man's intention and hurriedly discouraged him from doing anything foolish. But the next second the man had tied the rope to his body. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, Jack rushed to the window and leapt up. Relying on the arm strength he'd built over 25 single years, he successfully grabbed onto a protruding ledge. Before he could celebrate, his incompetent teammates began pulling the rope tied to his waist. Jack was suddenly suspended parallel to the ground. Realizing that they had done something stupid, all of them began to loosen the ropes carefully. Their lives now depended on the man. Without the help of his fellow pigs, Jack reorganized himself, and then his hands exploded with the strength of his entire body. His right leg finally hooked onto the wall's edge, and using sheer willpower, he pulled himself to safety, and he immediately fell to the ground after a trip to the Ghost Gate. But thinking that the crisis is not over, he once again fights his way back to his feet. As the poisonous fog rises, the height here is obviously not safe enough, so now he had to climb to the rooftop of the opposite building. The real test has just begun. The first thing he had to do was to climb up to the roof. After making sure that the safety rope is firmly fixed, he picked up the iron bar on the ground and yelled to give himself a little more courage. Then, in the eyes of the crowd, he ran towards the higher floors. Such a shocking scene that it made Jack piss his pants. Looking down at the slowly rising poisonous fog, he knew there was no way back. He could sense that his crush was watching the scene with rapt attention, so he could only trust himself and climb upwards. When he reached the top, he secured the rope to the bulge. After confirming that there was no problem, he clung to the stone, and after a second's hesitation, he jumped to the pillar beside him, and then tentatively reached with his right hand for the beam above the window. When he feels ready, he lets go of his left hand. Then he grabbed the wall with both hands. In an instant, the man's whole body was suspended in the air, under the eyes of the crowd. He made it to the other side of the window without any danger. Finding a good landing point, he fixed the safety rope again. With a deep breath, the man began to stick to the outer wall and continue to walk forward. Luckily, there was still an extension of the stone wall that he could step on. It's a place where he can relax his body for a while. Time went by. I don't know how long he had been climbing, but Jack had to stop. The rope around his waist was becoming a liability. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make it longer. There was only one option before him. Looking at the roof, Jack knew the only thing that would help was to untie the rope. If he went back the way he came, not only would all his efforts just now be wasted, and once he went back, when the poisonous fog rose to that floor, he could only wait for his death. So he continued to climb upward with all his might. He gave up the chance of survival if he lost his footing.